every opportunity we would do this. The team got quite good at it, so they do it very quickly. Right after the call, they jump off and they put this together. But we've also created a library where we have by industry and by maturity level. So if it's a retailer and they're a maturity 2, we have a spreadsheet already done that the team can use as the default 3 options for a retailer maturity 2. So we did that to speed up our process, so you can just go and grab the default options. But then if your client has some sort of unique need, you can modify off of the default. So we build these 3 options, and that gives us a total for each. We get on the call the next day after the demonstration, and we call this the solution option review call, where Jenna was saying we brand each option. So Meg, if you go back to the Zoom, so these 3 options, when we get on the call the day after the demonstration, we come up with 1 sentence to describe each of these options. They are not looking at this document, they've not received this document yet, that's all intentional. We want to make sure we are on the same page before we send them this. So we say, it's great demonstrating to you yesterday. So there are 3 approaches other similar companies have taken. The first one allows you to identify those international markets you want to expand your brand into. The second option is not just about identifying the markets, but also the sites within those markets. And the third option gets into sales forecasting and predictive analytics and stuff like that. First option's $15,000, second's $80,000, third is $125,000. Which of those aligns best with your priorities? And then they start talking, and they're like, oh, well, well, we like the price option 1, but I think option 2 is really what aligns best with our priorities. Then we make sure to reconfirm that price with them. We're re-qualifying people at every step of the way. So we say, great, now option 2 is the one I talked about that's $80,000. So I know we talked on some of our earlier calls about the conversations you all are having internally. I mean, are you all prepared to make this kind of investment? And they'll say, well, no, I have a lot of work to do to convince some people. So that's when we go into figuring out more precisely. We've tried to capture at the beginning of our sales process what their procurement process is, but now we're getting some more in-depth knowledge about that. And so we, confirm which one they're leaning towards. We get off the call, and they haven't seen this document yet. They don't know the options yet. So we do sometimes make adjustments, because maybe now that it's all become very real for them, and they've heard 3 concrete numbers. And sorry, let me share one quick thing. At the end of the demonstration, we call it a gut check, where we give them the range. So we say to them, tomorrow we're going to go over 3 options. Based on what you talked about today in our prior call, you're probably looking at $15,000 to $125,000. Do you want to see options in that whole range? And this is another one of those kind of like psychological things, is that we're not asking for their permission. They're not getting to set the price. It's just our way of gathering intel. So when we say, do you want to see options in that whole range? The most common response we get is $125,000 is totally out of the question. But we want to see options in the rest of that range. And then we say, what do you mean? Like, you have to make a really strong business case for it? And we're not trying to push them to this. Again, it's all just gathering intel. So when they say, oh no, like we've never spent, that's like 3 times what we've ever spent on technology, on a technology purchase. So we just want to figure out like how real it is, where they're really at. And so we get off, and if we really feel like 80,000 is like their max, or 50,000, or 30, or 20, I mean, or even 15. If the team feels like, I really don't think that they are at the maturity level and have the means to do something bigger, we will re-examine the options and potentially make adjustments in what we send them. And we have that flexibility, because like Jenna said, we haven't shared products, so we do have the ability sometimes to say to RSE, can we take out desktop? Do they really need it to perform these things they want to achieve? No, not necessarily. So we'll adjust the options, and then we'll send them this document after that. After we've possibly adjusted the options, we'll send this document, and then to kind of close out our process, Jenna mentioned we have a call that we book. Out of that solution option review call, where we're verbally giving them these options, we book a call for 2 days later, to provide any clarification. So we call it the solution clarification call. And that's when they'll have had a chance to look at the document. We get on a call, and often what that call is about is them trying to connect these options back to the demonstration. They'll say, hey, in the demonstration you showed this really cool thing. Is that in option 2, or do I have to get option 3 for that? So they're just trying to link it. And our SEs are really smart, and they basically kind of chapter their demonstration. They already know what we're going to propose. Because after the discovery call is when we first come up with the options and use that worksheet Meg showed you. So the SEs intentionally layer in their demonstration where the first third is option 1, second third is option 2, and the last portion is option 3. So it makes it really easy for us to kind of say, yeah, I mean, so option 3 was kind of the stuff we were showing at the end there, you know, or that was kind of the middle. That was kind of the beginning of the demonstration. So we do that all so it doesn't start to get all cloudy in their heads, and it is kind of a way they can make sense of it. So we get on that clarification call. They have questions to relate this to the options. We go through those questions, and out of that call, we ask which way they're leaning. You know, which option is resonating most? They say, we're still set on option 2. What do you need from us? We need help with our PowerPoint to our bosses. So we help them in whatever kind of way we determine as part of their procurement process. And then they eventually, we have like a solution decision call. They say, we're ready to move forward. And what we do then is...
Quick question.
Yeah.
In the beginning of this whole process, you're sort of masking the price, you're providing a solution, and then you get to a price discussion. If they've got budget restrictions and then they start to lollygag, you just explain the scenario then where we try to then engineer maybe based on things. You're sort of coming to that anyway, but you're doing it a little bit later, but I suppose you've got the buy-in then a little bit more. So, how do you stop them from the lollygagging and getting caught in that?
It's a really good question. Yeah, I mean, that's where we've improved our qualification at the front end, and we have tried this approach of sending them the options in the body of an email right after the discovery call. If we sense that if it's not fully qualified. But to your point, there are people that say very definitively, oh no, this is all sounding great, and they say all the right things. And then once we actually present options, all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is going to be really difficult for us to get approved. But it's the range we've been talking about. They shared early on that they could do that range. So it is challenging, at that point to decide, do we continue to invest? Do we kind of start to just invite them to our webinars and start to kind of reroute them to a track they should have been on earlier?
Well, we find we do the same model, so we go with a proposition of a price for the whole thing, and then when it comes down to the brass tacks of the money, then they want to know, okay, now can you itemise it? Because I'm going to see what I might have to...
Yeah, so this is where so when they see that, I'll show you...
And that's always a hard discussion because you're sort of then watering down your proposition because you've gone in there and one fair way down the track. Yeah.
Okay, so what we do when we send that solution option template, this is one of the things I know kind of came up yesterday I wanted to show is when we do the solution option template and they do ask for a breakdown, we have a couple of different ways we handle that. So we ask them, what do you mean by breakdown? And so this particular client said they wanted to understand what was included in the maintenance and support. So what we do is we take that one-page document that they've received, and now we send them a much longer document. This is 6 pages, psychologically there's something to that too, where they're like, I'm getting all this information. We formalize it more, so we do want them to feel this sense of they're further along in the sales cycle. So we say, please confirm back that you wish to proceed and indicate which option to process, but there's nothing they're signing. This is just like trying to get their written commitment. And so then what we show is, click here for a detailed breakdown, which is their wording with us, which is the original document. But then they asked about ongoing support and services, and we just have our standard RFP response here. So this was someone who asked for a breakdown, and if we had assumed what they meant and not clarified, we would have thought we were going to have to itemize pricing, but this satisfied them. So we just sent this along, and that was kind of the end of it. And they moved forward. That included an EAP, and they never, until we sent the quotation, never knew the name of that program. But another example would be this one. Existing client, they said, we need to justify why our maintenance is going to go from a couple $1,000s to $50,000 a year. So it's not even the upfront cost, it's the ongoing maintenance that we're really having to justify. And he described it as like, how can I help my organization understand what we have now versus what we're going to get? So we take a similar approach, confirm back that you wish to proceed, solution option details here, same document we sent before, but then we say, you want to understand who's going to have access and what they're going to have access to. So when someone says breakdown and we ask them, they often respond with that. They say, I don't know, like, what am I going to have access to? Which is like product names that they want. And so we said, oh, sure, you want to kind of understand the number of staff that are going to have access. So we provide them with this breakdown that in a narrative fashion describes what they're getting. So up to 6 analysts will have access to desktop. Up to 10 additional casual users. Those are ArcGIS Online users. We just describe it in a more narrative fashion. And then being as they were an existing client, in a narrative style, so we cover users up here, how many, and what are they going to have access to is down here. We do list products in this, but we've just done it in a more narrative way. And then on the last page, what we gave them is comparative enablement. So you want to understand today's state versus the other state. So here's what they have today, and then here are the 3 options. And you can see even just visually, it gives them that sense of getting more with each option. So we have a couple of different templates that we use to give people more description. Would you mind, do you have your solution option thing? And then what we've also done is taken that 1-page PDF solution option template, and when someone wants more, Meg created this, which is just much more visual and includes screenshots. But look what she does at the top. It's showing them which option they're getting that in. And what people do is they're like, this is me, like I need this, And so it's just, taking that to the next level. So we're still staying all about the business and stuff like that, and not kind of focusing on like lengthy proposals that are mostly text and what have you. So yeah, still no product names. Yeah. So we just keep kind of upping it for them.
That's beautiful. Could you attach that as well to the
Yeah. Isn't that impressive?
Yeah. And also I was wondering, you showed earlier this the script you were using. I looked through the documents and I couldn't really find that one. You showed a more detailed one than the one that I can find.
Yes, we can share that as well.
That would be perfect.
Yes.
Okay, super.
Okay, so we have to wrap up. So the last thing I'm going to show is just the quotation, and then we can do it. Oh yeah, yes.
So, please team, we have our class project due in 16 minutes. I got Bruce out there trying to put all your videos and pictures together. If we have like one person who's got some ability with videos or PowerPoints that we can pull out to help Bruce, then we can ask Allison to continue for the last 20 minutes. Thank you very much. Allison, you mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was very nice.